What's up, spectators? Welcome back to the episode of the Great Ace Attorney. I sincerely apologize for the gaps between videos. Things are very hectic again, but I'm trying to squeeze out these videos as consistently as I possibly can. Anyways, last time we were examining the crime scene. We got to discuss the findings with Herlock before he disappeared to the adjacent room, so we're going to finish examining here before we eventually slink on over and investigate the conjoining room on the other side. So let's see. We've looked at a few things, most things on the left side. I don't think I've examined this Russian fellow here. Excuse me. What? I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. Would you mind if I investigated a little outside? Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. I'd be impressed if his grandmother, would have ever had any exposure to Japanese people. Sorry. The criminal asking prison guard to help him escape? Very funny. We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping. Niet. You stay in this cabin until next port. Then it is up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you. You stay. All right. There's no point trying to appeal to this man's better nature, that's for sure. So how the heck has he been going to the bathroom this whole time, huh? He's been here 2 weeks. That's Kazuma's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Okay. That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. I mean, why are the bones like that? Why is it just like a leg? But not even like a chicken leg. It's like some sort of larger animal's femur. I don't... That's right. So he didn't touch it, which meant all the more for me. Oh no, does that mean poor Kazuma spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Oh. There's nothing on this table at all. Well, there's a tablecloth on the table. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute. What? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma. No. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel. The culprit used a needle and a thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles. Yes, you've said that already. Look over there. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? I mean, even from here, you can very clearly tell. That is Inspector Hosonaga. That's what I thought. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try. Is something wrong? Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? What can I do for you? This reminds me of Steve in his Chips Ahoy outfit. I recognize that face, but it can't be. Scoops Ahoy. Why do I say Chips Ahoy? Oh, it's because it's literally the cookie company's called Chips Ahoy, so I get it confused with Scoops Ahoy. Scoops Ahoy. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Who is this, Inspector? Oh no, not on white. They should just show a bunch of accumulating bloodstains on his sleeve. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. I mean, he was just meant to be an actor. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jikoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi reached Great Britain without being assassinated. How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jikoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. Kazuma was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector? So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. Let me go! We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. Sorry. You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose. I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm gonna need something persuasive. How about a gun? What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. I don't see how. There may be a way. Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. It's just the same as when you're in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. Evidence that give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Okay. So the... let's re-examine this here. Ah, what looks like some sort of speckled band dangling from the ventilator grill. That's what we need. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, "What looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill." A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. All right then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes. As long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. What about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Let's see what we can find out. It's weird having such an incredibly proficient inspector with us, compared to every other game we've played. Wait, who was the inspector in... Oh gosh, I don't even remember the name of it. When he goes to that fictional country, who was the inspector? I really can't recall. Oh, it was like someone. Oh, man, it's been so long. I'll be here all day trying to remember that game. Okay, first class passageway. Woo! I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it'd be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there! That's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs? Naruhodo, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know. But the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please don't give me that pitying look. Yeah, I remember like almost 10 years ago, I was on this cruise ship and we were in one of those affordable rooms and it was like being in an airplane bathroom. Truly awful. But I guess the point's not to really be in there all day. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? Why does he have tread marks on his face? A snake. He has had a snake on his face. That's what it is. Yep, got it. Figured it out. He's the murderer, or at least is involved. Done. Genius. You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it? All right, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You, little third-class lady's maid? Oh. We seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, Susato. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I hope it's something like sailor. I am senior crewman Biff Stroganoff. Okay. Whew, the best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Like they really just said, oh, he's Russian? He's beefy, beef stroganoff. All right. I mean, whatever. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Buria steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's currently occupied? Susato, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there's somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman. Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time. I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin. Or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably since this gentleman's occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important, is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? All time, so criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Susato, did you understand that? It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises, or sense anything was wrong in some way. I said no. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, all right. Bulkhead to second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Ooh, protocols. That book on top of the table there really is huge. There's a pen with it too. I'm sure that's the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through? The writing's so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. Anyway, look here. Last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Interesting. The neat handwriting could resemble what was on the floor in the other room, you could say. Very interesting. Oops. Yes, I misclicked us just by a little bit. This looks like a plan of the SS Buria. It shows each deck. Look. But the Buria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since gods created them. Well, I suppose. Oh, that's the whole explanation? Alright. I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. That's the way to the second-class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Would hate to see the seaman shoot. Indeed. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started it with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery. Anyway. I can't examine... Let's see... Okay. Now. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Wow, that's one hell of an alarm. What are you doing? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. The ship's not going to stop itself. You know full well that's not what the alarm's for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Hello, mousetrap. A trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. Just eat it. Find out. You can't eat it, Naruhodo. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Kazuma's. Sorry? Your accommodation's confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Yeah, that's not where you live. You're subletting the wardrobe. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? It reminds me of those people that rent out apartment... They'll rent an apartment, but then sublet it out to like 1 million people. And it's kind of like being the... like collecting rent yourself. Okay. Boop. This is it. The cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. The ventilator from which Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside! It's clearly Herlock. I'm about to break the door down. Oh, he's not inside. Mr. Sholmes. I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. But it's metal. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Oh my. Who are you? A Western gentleman. This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe. What is that name supposed to be? Like with the letters you can spell like Merlot, but I don't know. Yes, that's me, and you are? I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I am a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my. Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. The strange Russian man's hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you two would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, it's revolution! The truth, of course! Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you are about to see may as well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. It's nice when you're on the opposite side. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me, is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tensions as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh, Naruhodo, I never imagined I'd witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle? Tweedle twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. Ooh. Topic 1. Old man's identity. The dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of the magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, "Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai." As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Fantastic. Everyone he accuses is that's the accusation. Topic 2, wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps. One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup de... It's one of the coups I've never heard of. I can't even guess how that would be pronounced. Why are there so many vowels? Screw it. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. So this is going to be important. This is likely the person who screamed. who could be the person in disguise for all we know. But, I don't know this person's relevance yet. Of the Novovich Ballet. In Shanghai. Also tied to the revolutionary somehow. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. Of this Russian enigma, Elementsky. Got it. Nailed it. Too easy. Susato, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but... these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary. Well, able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Rohrlot does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady's 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain lightness in their bodies. Vinegar. For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. It's just one or two keywords in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some keywords in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. And you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. Where's your arm and where are your handcuffs? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. He's impressive. He's a very well-written character. He's very fun. Let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Well, before we do that, it's been 45 minutes, so I'd like to end this video here, and we can take apart his deduction next time. So stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye!